Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Nodana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Munatira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Munatira Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Giridharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yasoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Munatira Banachari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Austatera Satta Shri Sriman His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Austatera Satta Shri Sriman His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavindi Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Kahor Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavindi Ki Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Gaura Hari Ki Giri Govardhan Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So today we're reading something entitled Honolulu. Honolulu is the city in one of the islands of Hawaii. There's several islands, Oahu, Maui, Kauai, the Big Island, Lanai, and Molokai. Did I mention Kauai? And today we will be telling a little bit about Hawaiian history, so listen carefully. It won't be the history of King Kamehameha or the history of the volcanoes, or the study of the, what do they have when they, a luau. We won't be discussing those. So let's see what we will discuss. What do you think is going to be the history of? What? Wonderful educated guess. That isn't speculation. You figure it must be, right? It's based on knowledge. Okay, we'll see if she's right. Prabhupada rang his bell at 1 a.m. I jumped out of my sleeping bag next door and went in, followed by Pushta Krishna Swami. Looking strained, Prabhupada informed us that he was ill and would not take his usual walk or give the morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. He is again having trouble with uremia, using the bathroom every hour. His feet are badly swollen and he is suffering dizzy spells. Then amazingly, yet so typically, after telling us this, he preached to the two of us on general points of philosophy for nearly an hour before sending us out to take rest. He remained in his room throughout the morning. After breakfast, he took rest and did not ring to signal he was ready for his massage until noon. He then again rested for a long time in the afternoon and took early rest in the evening. Although he normally only sleeps 3 to 4 hours in any one day, when his body gets diseased, he makes the necessary adjustments to keep it going. There doesn't seem to be any question of good health for Srila Prabhupada. There is always something not right. But despite the hectic pace of his preaching, he is never neglectful. He deals as carefully with his body as with any other asset Krishna has provided for his service. So this is the amazing thing to see. I noticed this getting a little older. Last year I had a tough year here because I'd done too much traveling, and Prabhupada pushed himself. But I know many others feel this when I get excited about waking up early to do chanting, and then we have Mangal Artik, and then we have Guru Puja in class, and I get to do reading later and preaching and so many things. But when you're being sick, you need to take care of that, right? Just like if the building is on fire, you need to take care of that before something else gets. I can't worry about the building on fire. I have to iron my dhoti. If the building is on fire, then we take care of the things. So there was one sales trainer, Tom Hopkins, that says we must do the most productive thing at any given time. So at 4:30 in the morning is the most productive thing Mangal Artik? Is it? And is chanting rounds early in the morning the most productive thing? And when you're eating, is that the most productive thing? And if your body needs the extra rest and you take it, is that the most productive thing? It is, because if it needs the rest and you push it farther, just like if you're driving to somewhere and the thing comes on that gas is low, you think, well, I don't have time to stop. That's why it's probably better to plan for things, like what one devotee wrote, How to Manage Your Time and Life. And he mentions how we have to concentrate on the things we're doing. So the day before, you get out your diary and you write what things you have to do at what time. So in the morning, you're not thinking, what do I have to do later? You know that when time is done chanting, you've already written this down, and you already prepare what clothes you're going to wear, and you get all those things out of the way so that you know you can just concentrate on the main detail that you have to do. You plan it out of what you're going to do in the day, so you don't have to keep thinking about it. Now let's see, I have to do this and I have to do that, because you're running, just like with the computer, when you're running too many programs, does it go slow? So it's better to take that program and settle it now, and then when you're doing the most productive thing, you do that. So normally Prabhupada wouldn't rest much, but he had so many health issues. The diabetes is a problem. Who has diabetes here? It's a big Indian disease, right? Nobody here has diabetes? You do? Must be all the people who aren't here right now, probably the ones that have it, because it creates some issues. And then one issue spills over into the other, yes? Okay, we'll read more. His poor health did not prevent him from taking his massage and dealing with the day's mail. As he is attentive in the upkeep of his body, Srila Prabhupada is equally mindful about the maintenance of his greater body, ISKCON. If his own body is sometimes weakening, his ISKCON, judging by the reports, is very healthy and growing rapidly. Giriraj Prabhu, the Bombay temple president, sent a one-page report. The construction of the new temple and guest house is going rapidly, with the concrete slabs for the deity rooms now laid and the columns within them going up, as well as those on the 5th floor of the guest house. They told Prabhupada not to build in that place because no one would come. It was not in the center of town. And now on Sundays, like 35,000 people come. If that's nobody, imagine how many would come if people came. The BBT party sold 7 standing orders in Bombay and have now moved to Pune. Several scholars are writing reviews, and the devotees hope to have Srila Prabhupada's books accepted as standard authoritative works on Krishna consciousness and bhakti. The land in Vrindavan, offered by Mr. Taparia just before we left Bombay 3 weeks ago, is now being put into ISKCON's name. Also, 100 acres of farmland near Talasari, Maharashtra, has been offered to us. Prabhupada has repeatedly endeavored to get concessions from the government so that his disciples can remain in India, but without much success. Now Giriraj reported that a member of parliament, Sri D.D. Desai from Gujarat, has agreed to introduce to parliament that Vaishnavas should be allowed to enter India and settle in holy places without government restriction. Prabhupada was happy to hear all the news, especially about the library party work and the quest for residential status. As far as the Taparia land is concerned, Akshayananda Swami had sent a telegram from Vrindavan reporting that it was too secluded. See, here's another one. It's too secluded with no road and many feet. But Prabhupada told Giriraj to take it, giving instructions that our man should move there and begin repair work. When he gets back, he will decide how it is to be utilized. So Akshayananda is saying the same thing here about the Vrindavan property, that is too secluded with no road there, and there's too many thieves. So no one would come there. So was it a mistake that Prabhupada built the Krishna Balaram temple where it is? Because no one will come? Was it bad that he built a temple where no one would come? It's not a good idea to build a temple where no one will come, right? So was this a good idea or not? What? Well, of course it is. That's what counts, because people come. You want to be ahead of the curve, not later. You don't want to say, hey, if we'd gotten this land 40 years ago, we could have built a temple here and it would be doing very nicely. Isn't it true? You want to get the land before the people come there, and then you create something exciting and people come. The mistake was the other way. We should have bought more land. How many rupees to the dollar, to the rand? Must be about 4 or 5, right? So there was this piece of property near the temple that was 3 acres, and Prabhupada said we should get that. But they wanted 50% more money than it was worth. It was only worth 2 lakhs of rupees. They wanted, they wanted 3 lakhs of rupees, which means what? 60,000 rand? Would that be about right? Yes? 3 lakhs of rupees would be what? It's about 1/40th. So it would be about 60,000 rand. Is that too much for no, it can't be 60,000 rand. 3 lakhs of rupees would be converted to dollars first. A lakh of rupees, it would be 3,750 times 20. So that would be 75,000 rupees. Is that too much for 3 acres of land? In Vrindavan, it's not. You'll pay 100 times that now. So it wasn't a mistake because Prabhupada knew what was coming later. He presented a number of arguments to support our case in Parliament. The point should be raised. Why our devotees who are coming from foreign lands should not be permitted to remain indefinitely in the holy places. We have nothing to do with politics, and our cultural and religious movement is being spread throughout the world. When they become actually devotees, it is the instruction of the Shastra to live in such holy places as Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. The references are here in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He pointed out that other sects, like the Buddhists, were allowed to stay in places like Gaya, so foreigners who have accepted this religious process should also be allowed to stay. If some parliament members debate on this question on the basis of cultural platform, it is a glory for India that our Krishna consciousness movement is being accepted all over the world. Why the government should not accept? We have already published 56 books, which are highly appreciated by foreign and Indian scholars and the educated section. So it is a great science of God consciousness. The government should take it very seriously and help spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. The government allows Christian missionaries to stay, and foreigners come to learn Indian religion. They are not allowed to stay. This is not a very good policy. Srila Prabhupada also enclosed a letter to be given to the BBT managers in Bombay, expressing his dissatisfaction that Upendra had requested Hindi and Gujarati books for Fiji over a month ago, and no one had replied. What kind of management is this? These things should be rectified immediately. Kirtanananda Swami wrote enthusiastically from New Vrindavan in West Virginia. He expressed the devotees' joyful anticipation of Srila Prabhupada's arrival there. Simply thinking of your coming has brought us back to life, or like waking after a long winter hibernation, waking after a long winter hibernation. I think that we had all given up hope of you ever coming, but now we are all dancing in anticipation like jubilant peacocks. He described the ongoing development of a palace they are building for Srila Prabhupada, putting in a strong bid to have him come and stay permanently there, saying that in the peace and quiet he could do his translation work. He asked if they could build a bigger, grander temple for Sri Sri Radha Vrindavan Chandra, and if so, could their lordships be moved to a temporary location during the construction, or should the new temple be built around them? Prabhupada's reply was short, avoiding a response to the suggestion of his remaining there. He simply approved the idea of a new temple for the deities. He suggested the devotees go to India to learn by observation how the mysteries do their work. That's carpenters, it's not people who do mystery. He also confirmed that the deities could be moved temporarily until everything was ready. The worship must continue, he said. It doesn't matter if the deities are moved. Nityananda Das sent news of the farm in New Orleans. which Srila Prabhupada had visited last year. Nityananda wrote that things are progressing better than ever. By selling books, they had collected 12,000 per month, and they have 10 new devotees between the new center and the farm. They have completed construction on 3 family cottages, a milking house, a machinery shed, a large communal bathhouse, and laundry. And they are growing several acres of crops, vegetables, and flowers. They have 42 cows, calves, and oxen intended to install 36-inch white marble deities of Sri Gaur Nitai from Jaipur, India. He had a number of questions for Srila Prabhupada. He wanted to know if Prabhupada could give a name to the farm from the list of 12 forests of Vrindavan he enclosed. Then he asked for approval to build a new large temple and install Krishna Balaram deities. He also asked if the Krishna deity could be white, tinted blue with paint. Prabhupada was glad to give a name, and he picked out Talavan from the list. As far as building a temple was concerned, he said, "It is feasible only if you have sufficient Brahmins to take nice care. Otherwise, no. You have seen our Vrindavan temple, our temple in Melbourne and Los Angeles. So things must be at this standard in order to have a temple. This standard must be very high." In response to having Krishna Balaram installed, he wrote, "I shall see later on. You can paint the deity with paint to make him bluish. Don't manufacture ideas. That is standard. You must follow. Don't make it a farce." There were 2 letters from Los Angeles from the managers of the English and Spanish BBTs. Both reported a lot of activity in book production and printing. Radha Vallabhadas had 7 titles in English at various stages of development. Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Part 2 will go to the printer before the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadev this month, which happens to be the subject matter of that volume. 500,000 copies of Perfection of Yoga are at the press. Life comes from life, and perfect questions, perfect answers are in the design stage. And 2 projects by Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Sasvarup Das Goswami and Drishtadyumna Swami, are underway. As well as this, Hayagriva Prabhu is working on editing the philosophy book and another book on Lord Kapila's teachings. The only delays Radha Vallabha reported were from India. The song book reprint is awaiting the return of Jagannath Das from Radhakund. He decided to spend 2 months there, so we temporarily have to send your tapes to Nitai in Vrindavan till Jagannath returns from his frivolous vacation. Nitai hasn't sent me any corrections for the reprints of 1st and 2nd cantos, so I want to reprint them as they are. Srila Prabhupada was happy to hear how much work was going on. He reproved Prabhupada's Radha Vallabha's request not to wait for Nitai and Jagannath. Once Prajumya comes to join me here in India, then there will be no need for Nitai or Jagannath to edit the Srimad Bhagavatam. Paranjan's letter contained similar good news, although smaller in scale, on the activities of the Spanish BBT. He enclosed a copy of the newly released 1st canto, chapters 12 through 15, saying that the remainder of the 1st canto would be done within 6 weeks. The Spanish Krishna book is also nearing completion. He also reported that Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is now being used as a course text in at least one South American university. This pleased Srila Prabhupada greatly. He told Paranjan, "These books are the life of human society. We are putting these books for deliberation before the topmost thinkers of human society. If we strain, and if he takes one book home, someday will come to understand what valuable knowledge they have received. It is transcendental literature. Nobody can challenge. Please continue like this to print books in all the language for the benefit of suffering humanity. Tamal Krishna Goswami and Dristadumya Swami are here. They came in from New York with a written report to give Srila Prabhupada on their China preaching endeavors since the Mayapur festival, when Srila Prabhupada ordered, ordered Tamal Krishna Maharaj to begin something in China. They have been very seriously studying books like The Religious Policy and Practice in Communist China and investigating ways to establish links there. Srila Prabhupada spoke with them for almost an hour following his afternoon rest. Did I lose the place? Let's see. He was eager to hear how things are going in New York under Madhavisa Swami's leadership. Hearing their favorable report, Prabhupada complimented Madhavisa. Yes, he is the right person. Tamal Krishna mentioned that even with no advertising, their new restaurant attracts 50 people a day, paying $2.50. Prabhupada said it would be automatically advertised. People would hear, oh, there is a nice ISKCON restaurant, and come. He compared it to the Krishna Balaram Mandir he opened in Vrindavan. He had thought that it was too far away from the center of Vrindavan town and that no one would come. But it has proved very popular. People are coming by thousands. He laughed. Balaram is so powerful. He is bringing. Come out here. Tamal Krishna also said that Ambarish Prabhu, faithful to Srila Prabhupada's request, has found a first-class place just around the corner from our Boston temple, where he wants to have a restaurant. Prabhupada was happy at the news. Distribution of prasadam is one of our more important programs. From the very beginning, I was asking to open restaurant and farm, produce ghee in the farm and send to the restaurant, and make nice samosa kachori preparation, and there would be no scarcity of money. If you organize in this way, your whole country will be transferred into Krishna conscious country, the whole country. Let's see how many pages are left here. 1, 2. Then he asked, so what about your China program? The two of them have a detailed written report, but before hearing it, Srila Prabhupada engaged in a lengthy discussion with them. They explained that they are working in New York in order to meet with Dristadumya's father, who is the head of Seagram's International. He is the president of the Far East American Council, of which many prominent business leaders are members, including the chairman of Coca-Cola, the Bankers Trust Company, first vice president, Bank of America, senior vice president, and the First National City Bank vice president, Mr. McDonough, has given the two of them a lot of advice and help. He has given them a letter of introduction to the director of the U.S. Department of Commerce. Their idea is to establish a business relationship with China. Srila Prabhupada was enthusiastic at the prospect of their meeting such men, but from another perspective, he saw it as a great opportunity to spread Krishna consciousness in the most influential circles in the West, and he encouraged Dristadumya to take advantage of the context. You should be like father, like son. Father's intelligence he must inherit. There is an Indian proverb, Bapaka Beta Sepika Goda Kuncha Nehi Te Thoda Thoda, means the father's son and the soldier's horse, they require the quality. If not all, some must. If one is good soldier, his horse is also trained. Your father is a leader of so many big businessmen. You also become leader. You have got the intelligence I have seen. I have studied you. You now combine both of you. You are intelligent. You turn the whole America Krishna conscious. Bus. then success all over the world. America is the leader of the nations. Now, if the America becomes Krishna consciousness, then our movement is perfectly successful, and you have got the potency in America. Prabhupada's mind turned to the most effective way to preach and convince such people. So all these men, big men, let them have one set of books and study. It is not any expenditure for them. But if at their leisure hour they read some of the line, they are all intelligent men, they'll get ideas. What is this Krishna consciousness? So through the influence of Father, just try to introduce our books to these big men. They may keep them in the library, and at leisure hour, if they simply glance over them, oh, it will be great success. Drishtadyumna's father's travels, he had noticed that some of his friend's sons have also joined our movement. Prabhupada was pleased to hear it and quoted Bhagavad Gita, Yad Yad Archati Shayas Lokastad Anuvartate. If these big men of the world, they take it, oh yes, Krishna conscious movement is genuine, then naturally it would be followed by others. So here is a good opportunity to contact big men of the world. So utilize it properly. Both of you are intelligent. Very cautiously deal with them. They will understand that, oh, these people are very honest men of character and high knowledge and God consciousness. That will make our movement success. Then Prabhupada inquired about the aim of the Chinese people. Drishtadyumna summarized it as dialectic materialism. Prabhupada pressed him further. What is their aim? After studying all these books, what do you think is the aim of China? What is the objective they are making progress towards? Drishtadyumna said they wanted to be materially comfortable, but Prabhupada replied that although Americans have already achieved that, their children were becoming hippies. If the Chinese had any sense, they should see that. They see this as a fault of the system capitalism, Drishtadyumna replied. They want communistic materialism. In other words, by forming communes, everyone will get equal portion of food and bedding and clothing and medicine. Materialism means capitalism, Srila Prabhupada observed. A man's tendency, let's see how many pages are here. A man's tendency is that everyone wants to get more. So how will they check it? That is already proved in Russia. He explained that because the means for achieving equality was force, the system was bound to fail. It couldn't work unless people voluntarily give to each other. Therefore, it is not perfect progress. But by Krishna conscious education, they could learn to sacrifice everything for the Supreme, and that would make everyone happy. You can make the whole body happy simply by supplying food to the stomach. That is the best way. If they are actually progressing, they will have to come to that point. That is natural. Where placing your service, you can serve everyone. That is the right conclusion. We have got that conclusion. If you want to take from us, you can make immediately. But if you want to wait by your research work, then you can waste your time. Unless you come to this point, food has to be supplied here. Your all attempt will be a failure. That you have to tell them, you can't supersede nature's way. Nature's way is that food must go through here. You cannot change it. You are not above nature. Drishtadyumna said their idea is that they become above nature. That raised Prabhupada's rhetorical ire. Tell them, then this will make them failure. If you are foolish and you want to go above nature, then you are fool number one. This is not possible. You see how they're doing this by not facing the global warming? They think they just go above nature and produce things in the same old way and everything will be fine, but it's not going to be. They are following the wrong path. That is the foolishness, mudha. As long as they have this impression that they can overcome the laws of nature, they will continue to become mudha. Where is the question of suppressing nature? Make them fool on every point. These rascals, by argument, let's see. Tamal Krishna Maharaj cited some of their claims to have overcome drought by laying irrigation systems. But Prabhupada issued a challenge. The law of nature is there, must be water. There is cloud, nature by supply. Now if you want to suppress nature, then you produce in the factory without water the food grains. Then we shall understand that you can suppress. If nature pours water, then you can save so much labor. Do you know that how nature will supply water profusely? You haven't got to make artificial arrangements. Do you know that? Ask them. We know that. They explained that a few hundred years ago, Chinese society was organized in a way similar to Vedic society with Brahmins, rulers, and workers. But the communists have rejected this and reformed society because it discriminates, making one person above another. But you are doing the same thing, Prabhupada countered. Otherwise, why are you reforming? Who is reforming unless one class is very intelligent? The same question yours. What is this rascal's name? Mao Zedong. He is supposed to be intelligent. So the two classes are already there. Well, he says everyone can be equally intelligent. That is another thing Prabhupada said. These classes must remain, the teacher class and student class. Tamal Krishna described how they reverse the roles of teachers and students. They send the teachers to work for years in the field to show that no one is better than another. Prabhupada argued strongly that the two classes of teacher and student must still remain no matter who fills the role. So there is no equality. Someone must teach and someone must learn. They are taking themselves superior to position. Makes it one. Tamal Krishna laughed. Yes, that's a fact. Prabhupada concluded they are rascals. And from their report, it is clear that preaching in China is going to be very, very difficult. It is not impossible. Mao's cultural revolution has closed the country off from the rest of the world. So much so that the Christians have resorted to trying to float Bibles in balloons to the shore from a boat anchored 200 miles from the coast. Prabhupada decided on the spot, without waiting to read their written report, that his men should not waste their valuable time when other areas of the world were more receptive. If they are rascals, then don't try. You see, reject them. But if there's good potency in your country, you do peacefully here. If they are rascals, means stubborn rascals, better try in your country. You have got enough field, and they are intelligent, and they are favorable. So why should we waste our time? There is no need. If you make your country America God conscious, Krishna conscious, they are all ready that will be example to the whole world. These men rascals program will be a failure. Finish this today or tomorrow. They'll never be successful. That is not possible. If they have so foolishly declared that we are above the laws of nature, then they're first-class rascals. That is the impossible. What they have conquered over nature. These rascals will not die? No, they'll still die. Then what is this? The rascals will not become old men? So what have they suppressed? Laws of nature. What way? Simply making teacher student and student teacher simply wasting time. Better you utilize your father's position, but for introducing our books to these high-class men. Just you are trying to introduce books in the university's libraries. Similarly, you introduce these books to the high class. And if that is not difficult, these men have got enough money. If they spend $1,000 on our books, that is nothing for them. So you just touch the topmost men. However, he didn't completely rule out the Chinese. If somehow or other you see some of the topmost men in China, you kindly read our books at your leisure. Tamal Krishna shook his head. There was no hope, he said. You can't approach these men. Then give in, Prabhupada affirmed. It is too difficult. Don't waste time. It's not only difficult, it's impossible, Tamal Krishna said. It may be possible 50 years from now. That's all right, Prabhupada said. Our descendants will try for that. But let us try where it is favorable. Don't waste time. Prabhupada told him that one of the businessmen that they had met. Boys, you're up against the wall, the Great Wall of China. Prabhupada laughed and said if the Chinese communists wanted to overcome the laws of nature, they would simply break their heads against the wall. The potter's imagination. You know that? Potter's imagination. You do not know the story. One potter is selling earthen pots, and he is saying that now these 2 paisa, it will cost me 1 paisa, I shall make 1 paisa profit. I shall invest again, I shall make another profit. In this way I shall become millionaire. Then I shall marry, and my wife shall be very obedient, and if she does not become obedient, then I'll give a kick like this. And what was 1 pot was there, he kicked the pot and broke it. We all broke out laughing as Prabhupada pulled a sad face. Oh, again I am poor man. So this is going on, imagination. I shall become so great that I shall kick Krishna's law, and whatever pot he had broken, that's all. Rascals, simply rascals. If anyone thinks like that I shall suppress the laws of nature, then he's a madman. So what is the use of dealing with madmen? However, he said that even for a rascal there was one hope. If peacefully you can introduce, all right, you will do. You are wonderful men. So kindly, if you read some pages of this book, it is not very costly, you can keep. At leisure hour you can read. In this way, imploring them, they will be benefited. That much we can do to any rascal. Let them become puffed up by their false notions. But if they keep some books, sometimes they will read, or their sons will read. That's all. Therefore I am stressing so much on books, that if the puffed up rascals take some book, and sometimes if they read, he'll be benefited, perfectly benefited. So distribute these books anywhere possible. It doesn't matter where it is. The 2 sannyasis have also done research on Russia. Whereas China is completely closed as far as selling books, Russia is a better hope. In China, the only way foreign books get in is by the exchange system through the government. They don't buy books, and their libraries are rarely used. They have no university educational system. A few 100,000 students out of a population of 800 million. Their philosophy is a Marxist dialectic materialism, and they are fanatic about it. Everything is Mao consciousness. In Moscow alone, however, there are over 400 libraries, and foreign books are snapped up by the public. The Soviets also prefer the same system of book exchange, but things are more open, and there is a large black market in the books. Prabhupada encouraged Tamal to try all avenues in the many communist countries. So, the China preaching as a full-time mission has been canceled. Tamal Krishna Maharaj has returned to America, resuming his preaching as the head of Radha Damodar bus parties. Srila Prabhupada reinstated him to his former pre-Mayapur festival duties. He dictated a letter to Pushta Krishna Swami to be sent to all America GBCs. My dear GBC disciples, please accept my blessings. I have met with Tamal Krishna Goswami, and it appears impractical to send anyone to China at this time. I am requesting him to resume his old position as manager of the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party. Book distribution is my most important concern, and these devotees should be given facility to distribute books profusely throughout America. And they are also helping with substantial contributions to construct the new temple in Mayapur. Please do the needful and see that everything is done very nicely in a cooperative Krishna conscious spirit. As a postscript, he added, Tamal Krishna Goswami will be assuming his responsibilities as a Bhaktivedanta Book Trust trustee for America. Once out of Srila Prabhupada's room, Guru Kripa and Pushta Krishna Swamis pointedly questioned Tamal Krishna Maharaj about Madhavisa, inquiring how he was coping in New York. With considerable dismay, Tamal Krishna reported that Madhavisa had lapsed into inactivity. He was simply attending the morning program then either locking himself in the room for the rest of the day or going out somewhere into the city without explanation. He had no book interest to see book distribution or Rath Yatra develop. Adi Keshava was doing all the management. Pushta Krishna then showed Tamal a letter Guru Kripa had written from Guru Kripa had received from an Australian devotee. It had been found in a brahmacharini's bead bag. Addressed to a woman, it bore a simple handwritten message in a distinctive large sloping style similar to that of Madhavisa. I'm down again. Please come to New York. It was pointedly signed, the King of the Sahajas. This was the secret which Guru Kripa had discussed with Srila Prabhupada and Pushta Krishna in Melbourne. Prabhupada had decided not to pursue it until he could meet personally with Madhavisa in New York. But since Tamal is a close friend of Madhavisa's, Pushta Krishna gave him the letter to take with him. So he returns to New York. Tamal will try to speak about it with him. It's still something how Prabhupada would do, that if there was rumors about somebody doing something wrong, you don't immediately just accuse. We have to think the things through. This is one of the things, like when we were discussing the austerity of speech. It should be truthful, and it should be beneficial, pleasing, not agitating to others, and based on knowledge. So some things you may not need to know. If the building's on fire, you need to know that. If someone's shown up with a gun, you need to know that. If it's time for prasadam, you need to know that. But in finding faults with people, we're not so much interested in the fault. We're interested in how someone can be rectified. So the main thing we do, like with helping people in conflict resolution, they say in conflict resolution, if I've been arguing with one of you for a long time, the best thing to do is make one positive thing and then arrange a meeting later. Like I say to, we'll say Ranga. Ranga, we've been friends a long time and we're both devotees, and I'm so happy to see you today. Let's meet again on Tuesday at 9:30 and talk further. And then you just leave it. You don't want to, but you did this and you did that. You want to leave with one positive thing, because then what happens is that the person remembers our last meeting was a positive occasion. There's stories like this in the Vedas when Lord Shiva was badly dissed by Daksha, and he was called ill names, and then he was not invited to the sacrifice that Daksha was doing. And Shiva's wife, who was the daughter of Daksha, wanted to go, Sati, and said she wanted to go, and she went there. And she was so insulted that they didn't make any offering for Shiva, and Shiva was being insulted, that she did a sati rite. She self-combusted her body. She just sat down, meditated, turned it into flames, and she was gone. So then what happened was the followers of Daksha and Shiva, they were cursing, and then they were counter-cursing. Does this sound like a bad way to solve things? I'll show you. No, I'll show you first. No, you're a bigger one. You know, we have to realize with the austerity of speech is like, what is our purpose? What are we trying to get across? And you think about it carefully, and you say one couple of words that might be beneficial. You can't say, well, people like you always do the wrong thing. They say that in public. Then people wonder, what do they mean? People like you, devotees, a woman, a South African, what is it that they wonder if it involves them? And it creates jealousy, bitterness, suspicion. So that doesn't fit that's not pleasing or beneficial when you create jealousy, bitterness, and suspicion. You don't say, I know who you are, I saw what you did, right? I heard all about you. That's even worse than saying, oh, I heard yesterday you spilled a plate of prasadam. Leaving the little bad hint. Did you hear what this devotee did? It's so bad I can't even tell you. Now that's even worse than actually saying something, because the way your imagination goes, you can't imagine that maybe he was late to Mangal Artik by 2 minutes, or he served the prasadam 10 minutes late. You can't imagine. You have to imagine something big, right? You leave it to someone's imagination, and they speculate a whole story, right? They call it making a mountain out of a molehill. What is that? Oh, it's a mountain. No, it's just a molehill. The moles dig it up, and you must have a lot of moles around here, right? You know why? You know, that's why people act on the things without finding out. You need to analyze the situation. Like Krishna had Akrura go to analyze the situation in Hastinapur between the Kurus and the Pandavas, because you want to analyze the situation. It's just like, what is the great bush snake danger? You know what the bush snake danger is? Who knows? I told a couple of people, what's the bush snake danger? Some idea? Tell me what the bush snake, make you get. What is it? We're dangerous to them, yes. Bush snakes don't hurt people. The bush snake is brown. There's a black snake, the mamba, and the green one that are very dangerous. So the solution is to kill all the brown ones, right? Is that it? So the danger is not for the humans. The danger is for the bush snake, because people go and kill it, and because they eat rats and moles, and like the moles come underneath to eat they eat those kinds of things, and so people kill them, thinking there's something else without. It's like there's a story that in the Panchatattva, the children's stories, that the one man's son had a pet mongoose, and the mongoose would go everywhere with the son, and the son went to take a nap, and the mongoose was napping with him. And then pretty soon the mongoose comes running outside covered in blood. And the father of the child says, oh, the mongoose has killed my son, and he cut the mongoose's head off. And then he went inside, and he found his son there sleeping, and next to the son was a cobra snake that had its head bit off. So he realized later that the mongoose didn't kill his son. The mongoose had killed the cobra and saved the son's life. And then later on, a cobra came and bit the son, but there was no mongoose to protect him. So we have to make sure that our action is the correct action. We don't just go and hit someone with a stick. Or I think that's why here, even though you should be allowed to shoot someone that's attacking you, many people just shoot first and ask questions later. Isn't it? They saw someone dressed in black. Someone dressed in pants was threatening someone, so I go shoot the first person I see wearing pants. So you don't shoot first and ask questions later. We need to do these things carefully, because the point is not to bring out faults, but is there a solution? We teach this in Krishna consciousness. They teach it in business school. Not to think, oh my gosh, there's a problem here. What do we do now? We worry it better, of course, right? Is that the solution? One person thought that worked. He told me that he kept worrying about something all day and it never happens. So he figures that he worried it better. Is that true? No. He just wasted his time worrying about something that wasn't going to happen. So we have to think carefully about what the solution is. Like the story I told with the girl not getting angry at her when she was threatening, but to find out what was going on and then say, and she said, well, can you show me that the people are not there? And when I later nicely said, here's a piece of friendly advice. First you threatened me and then you asked a favor. It might be smarter next time to ask of favors before you threaten people instead of afterwards. So as they say, going off half-cocked. You don't want to say somebody made a fault and you attack them. You tell everybody about it, and then you find out it's not true. So you have to think the things over carefully. And a smart leader will talk to both of these people. Because you know how a parent will turn their children into a sociopath? Say these two are my children. And Radhika Jivan is always telling, he does something wrong, but he says it's his fault. So I punish him. Now what does Radhika Jivan think? He thinks it doesn't matter if I do something wrong. If I blame it on someone else, they get in trouble. So right and wrong isn't important. It's whether you get caught or not. The criminals only think there's two crimes. You know what they are? Getting caught and getting convicted. That's all they care about. If I could make it look like these two did the crime and not me, I borrow one of their shoes, I go rob the store, I bring the shoes back, and I put one of the robbed items in each of their rooms. Police come back, find the shoes outside Radhika Jivan's, and some of the stolen items are in his room. What does that prove? That proved he robbed the store, correct? Doesn't it? It looks that way, though, doesn't it? And people who are just looking for the sin, we found his shoes with the mud outside the store, and we found some of the stolen items. So this is what you don't want to do, is go off half-cocked and accuse people of things before it's done. You want to set a meeting with that person, talk to them, and letting you know that you have their best interest at heart, and you're interested in the solution more than what the problem is. So if they're having some problems, you come to me and we'll work out a solution. Not, if you did something wrong, I'm going to find out and I'm going to tell everybody. Number one, that's either falsely accusing him, or if he's really doing something wrong, then he's going to be more careful to conceal it and I won't find out. So we don't go half-cocked finding out faults. Prabhupada says that a devotee should have aversion to fault finding. But to call a thief, if somebody grabs something from here and runs out the door, if I say, stop that thief, is that finding fault? No, that's pointing out misbehavior. So we have to be careful, though, in that, to make sure that we're bringing out the right fault. And if there's a chance, we rectify it first. If someone is doing that like in a hurry, if they grab something and ran out, then you have to say something. But we look for solutions. Sometimes that is a solution. If the policeman sees somebody drawing a gun at the bank, the solution is to shoot him. If someone is thinking about doing a crime, the solution may be just to talk him out of it. Right? And the worst thing you can do, if somebody asks you to help them in a crime, do you help them thinking you can't get caught? There's two things you do. One is that you can help them plan the robbery and you drive them to the bank. The other one is they want to come and hide, and you let them hide out at your house. The first one is called an accessory before the fact. The second one is called an accessory after the fact. Which is a bigger crime? Accessory before or after? Who knows? Which? Before. No, which one is a bigger crime? Before? Before is. Because after the crime's already been done, you're just helping them hide it. Before the fact, if you drove them there, you're facilitating the thing happening. That's actually a bigger crime. So what you don't want to do is do something and then you're questioned about it. Because especially if you drive, if I drive the two of these to the bank and they go in the bank and rob it and they shoot someone and kill someone, which one of us is guilty of murder? You know which one? All of you are. Because the murder was committed during the commission of a crime. So all of us are. So we have to be careful with our actions because certain things you can't take back later. You know, it's like we were talking earlier. It says, can you go in the past and erase the things you don't like to stop the results from coming later? No, but you can be careful about the choices now. You can't fix the present by changing the past, but you can fix the future by being careful about the choices you make in the present so they don't cause reactions that you're going to regret later. So we always should be careful to add that up, it's a sankhya, and think, what kind of reaction will my actions bring later? And if the reaction is worse than what the benefit can be, then we skip it. Hare Krishna. read the whole thing.